welcome back to my channel, or if you're just meeting me for the first time, hi, my name is Ebony and this channel is all about productivity and wellness with a spiritual spin. Today I'd love to talk about Oracle cards. I'll explain what they are, how they compare to tarot cards, and how you can use them, both on their own and in combination. So firstly, let's talk about what the difference is between tarot cards and Oracle cards. While tarot cards follow a traditional structure and generally always contain 78 cards, the structure of an oracle deck and the amount of cards it contains is completely up to the creator. No matter what themes or designs a tarot deck might encompass, the themes and meanings behind the cards will generally always follow the traditional rider-waite tarot system, including the major and minor arcana cards. The messaging in tarot is essentially always the same, no matter what the deck looks like. Oracle cards, however, can follow themes and messaging that is unique to each deck, and the structure of the cards, as I mentioned, is entirely up to the creator. So they might include 80 cards or 50. They might include certain cards that are influenced by tarot, or they might be a series of different animals, plants, gods, goddesses, fairies, angels, you name it. There's honestly an oracle card for any interest you might have. Just like tarot, some oracle decks will be harder to read than others. It depends on how simple or detailed the artwork is, and whether they include any text or numerology that might be helpful. So if you're struggling to connect with a tarot deck, you might find an oracle deck to resonate with you more. As I show you my collection today, you might be drawn to one or all of the decks, or you might be feeling a little overwhelmed. So I've written up a blog post with way more detail and included a few suggestions for you to check out. I hope it helps. You'll find it linked down below along with everything else I'll mention here today. Both oracle and tarot decks, and even reading tea leaves like I did in last week's video, require you to look at the images, symbology, and stories presented, and use both your intuition and imagination to seek guidance or find answers to your questions. Guidebooks are helpful when learning any new deck of cards or any form of divination, as they help you form ideas and understand what certain symbols or images may mean. As far as I know, all tarot and oracle decks include a small guidebook to help you understand what the creator intended for each card. But ultimately, your interpretation is always going to be unique to you, and what you choose to do with that information is totally up to you as well. That being said, let's get into showing you what decks I have and take a closer look at how they can be used on their own and together. So get yourself a cuppa and we'll get into it. Okay, so I've made myself a cup of tea. Cheers. And I'm going to show you my oracle decks. I've previously made a video on tarot. You can check that out. I'll link it above and below as well. So it's the typical tarot deck with the rider-waite system, as I mentioned earlier, but it's called the Golden Universal Tarot. That's just the name of this version of it. That was today's card. You may have seen that on my Instagram. If you don't follow me on Instagram already, check that out. I usually do a daily card on my stories on Instagram, just talking about one card in particular. So these cards I love with their gold theme, but they are based on the rider-waite deck. So if you look at any classic rider-waite deck, you'll see exactly the same image. It's just simply that this deck has that little bit of detail to it. So yeah, that is my tarot deck. The only tarot deck I own. I can imagine, honestly, in the future probably having more tarot decks, but really that one I feel so connected to because I've had it for so long. But oracle cards, I feel like because they are so based in theme, it's very easy to end up accumulating them. So these are my oracle cards. I've got 3 decks now. They are all, in my opinion, quite different from each other in terms of their themes, and all 3 of them teach me something. In terms of similarities, both of these are illustrated by Danielle Knoll. I love her illustrations in both of these. The artwork is just amazing. I'm a huge fan of Danielle Knoll. She has tarot decks as well that she's created that I'd love to get my hands on. I'll leave all the information regarding all of these decks and similar ones and all the different names I mentioned. All of that information I'll put on a blog post and link it down below, so you can check that out if you want to learn more about oracle cards, tarot. It's all there, and a bunch of resources too. So feel free to check that out down below as well. So a Yogic Path has 54 cards. The Starseed Oracle has 53 cards and the Moonology Oracle has 44 cards. And of course my Golden Universal Tarot deck includes the typical 78 cards. As I mentioned, all decks include a small guidebook, and though I love to try and figure out my own interpretation before I look it up in any book, I believe they're well worth reading and having on hand if you get stuck. So let me give you a better look at each of these decks and then we'll try our hand at reading. Let's start with the Moonology Oracle card deck. The artwork in this one as well is gorgeous by Nix Rowan. I love that as soon as you open it you see this on the box, let the moon be your guide. And the guidebook with this one is quite hefty actually. It goes into a little bit of detail at the start about the different phases of the moon. So like I said, a lot of these you can really learn a lot from. They're more than just sort of daily guidance. I find them really helpful in learning the different phases of the moon as well. It's a lot of fun to learn that way, I find. So there's a full introduction. It goes into how to bless the cards before you start, what you can use them for, all about the wisdom of the moon, working with the cards and how they're structured. So the guidebooks are really helpful to read when you first get a deck of any kind. And then of course it also shows you each of the card. When you draw it, you can look it up and get roughly a page and a half of a reading and then some additional teaching. So that's the guidebook there. Now let's get into the actual cards themselves. So you'll see that each of the cards have a phase of the moon, and they feel lovely, these cards. They have a little bit of a shine to them, but they're essentially matte. So for this video to not be super duper long, I won't go through every single card, but I absolutely think they're gorgeous and I do recommend these cards, very much so. The next deck is this one here, the Starseed Oracle. If this resonates with you, you might actually really want to look into this deck. It says, have you always had a longing for home without really knowing what that meant? If so, you could be a starseed soul. This activating oracle will help you unlock your soul gifts, connect with your cosmic origins, and remember who you truly are. So I love the box that this comes in. It's really, really fun. So there's like a V shape here and you lift that up and then you have a triangle lid, right? And the cool thing is that you can actually use this lid for spreads. So I'll set that aside for now. I'll show you what I mean in a minute. This one also comes with a guidebook that is really quite substantial. It goes into how to set up the deck, how to use the deck. So they are created by Rebecca Campbell and the artwork is by Danielle Knoll. Rebecca Campbell is the best-selling author of Light is the New Black and Rise Sister Rise. And she also has another oracle deck called Work Your Light. And Danielle Knoll, who did the artwork, is also the illustrator of a Yogic Path as well. So I love her work. And I love Rebecca Campbell's work as well. And she's Australian, which is cool. As you can see here, it actually shows you how to use the lid as well. So you can use the lid to do different spreads, which is really clever. Sort of makes it, you know, a storage option as well as actually something useful, which is really cool. But this also goes into a lot of detail about how they have presented the cards and how they see the cards working in the way that they've created them. And what is a starseed? Again, you've got a decent amount of information on each card that you look up as well. But these ones you can kind of use your imagination with it a little bit more as well, I find anyway, because these ones, you know, you actually can look at the image and try and figure out what that image might actually be meaning. So I'll give these a shuffle. These ones have the same feel as the Moonology cards. They are very matte and a good thickness and weight. The back, as you can see, is this gorgeous pastel sort of rainbow pattern. It's absolutely gorgeous. So let's have a look at some of these. They are just like the design on these. It's sort of a collage of images. I love this card. This is probably one of my favourite cards. Jump in. So yeah, I do really appreciate these cards, and I love the meanings behind them. They always seem to really hit home for me. I often just, with these cards, draw one card at a time and really try to get deep with it rather than do multiple card spreads. But as I show you later on, there's so many ways that you can use these cards. You don't have to do it any one way. So I do really love these cards. I'm so happy that I bought them. I bought them at the local bookshop that I used to work at. Could look at them all day, they're so pretty. So let's pop them away, back in here, and move on to the final card deck. A Yogic Path. I've just got this deck, I've used it once, literally once, and it's on a subject I know very little about. So these cards, it reads, steeped in the wisdom of the Vedas. This ancient yet visionary deck is a tool to access your yogic intuition. Illuminated by ethereal artwork, the cards provide insight into the present and guidance for the future, connecting you to your inner wisdom and unlocking a deeper understanding of self. Embark on a journey of awakening and self-discovery. This deck is breathtaking. I love the colours, I love how bright it is, and it's just absolutely beautiful. So the illustration's by Danielle Knoll. So this is just the sleeve, so we take this off for now, pop that aside, and you'll see that the box is this beautiful white with gold detail. It's so pretty. I am obsessed with mandalas, as you may know already. For anyone who doesn't know, I have a mandala tattoo, and of course my wall background thing is a mandala pattern and gold as well. So the box is gorgeous, and it has this magnetic clasp on it. And then you open it up, and again with the gold it says, "May these cards bridge you to your highest self." It's absolutely gorgeous. And then the guidebook is absolutely stunning. It is rare to see a guidebook come with a oracle set that looks like this. It's this beautiful blue with the gold detail again. So it is just so pretty, and it's also full colour. So most of the time they're black and white inside the guidebooks, but this one on the other hand is completely full colour. Each card has 2 pages, one full spread of the actual card itself, and then the page that describes what the card means, upright and reverse. That's a subject for a different video, I think, what upright and reverse mean. We'll get into that in more detail another time, I think, so this video is not too long. So yes, I absolutely adore these cards. I've, like I said, just got them, so I've only used them once, and today will be my second time using them. I've always been a little bit fascinated by these ideas and concepts, so I'm really excited that I get to learn about all of these things through these cards, and I think that's a really brilliant way to learn about a concept, through drawing a daily card, looking it up, and reading about a certain thing that you've never heard of before. And then you get to learn about it at the same time. You get insight into your life, or, you know, it helps answer a question you might have. I am slightly obsessed with this new deck. I cannot wait to use it a little bit more. And again, like all the other guidebooks, at the start it tells you a bit more about the deck and what the author, Sahara Rose, has intended for the deck, and how she perceives the cards and how you should read them. And I think it's important to do that because I feel like it's honouring the creator and what they've intended for it. And then, you know, once you've got an understanding of the cards a little bit more, / an understanding of symbology and how to interpret cards without guidebooks, then of course you can lose the guidebook and use it for your own kind of means, I suppose. But I love the guidebook, so I will definitely be using that a lot, I have no doubt, because it teaches so much about the traditions, and I cannot wait to learn about that. So enough talking, let's actually get into the deck. So it's got this beautiful ribbon, which I forgot to mention before. The ribbon is such a nice touch as well. Even at the bottom of the box, it has that gold gilding. The attention to detail is amazing. And even the lid of the box, truly this camera is not going to be doing it remote justice. And again, with a little ribbon to help you take them out of the box so you don't have to hold it upside down to get them out, which is again just such a lovely thing. I'll pop that down for a sec to show you that. It's got the gold at the bottom here too. So pretty. It's just gorgeous. Anyway, I'm like a magpie with new shiny things. So I'm going to pop that aside there and let's show you the actual cards themselves. So the back has that gold shine pattern to it as well, with the hands and the flowers. They're so bright but not in a tacky way. It's just absolutely beautifully done. They are just stunning in my opinion. I might be slightly biased because they're newest of the lot. Now I love that this is the first card I saw when I opened the deck. This is one of my all-time favourite cards from this deck. I love what ahimsa means. It basically means non-violence and compassion for all beings. That's how I understand it. Obviously I'm still learning. I've come across this word many times over the years as a vegan, because for me I feel like it embodies all that veganism means, because non-violence to animals, non-violence to everyone is totally my way of life. That's what I believe in. So ahimsa is just a word that encompasses that idea so beautifully. It is just gorgeous, this card as well, with the lions. Again, it has that similar thing to the Starseed Oracle, where it's Danielle Knoll as the illustrator, and it has that collage effect to it. But unlike the Starseed Oracle, this one has a lot of rich colours. It has a lot of bright colours, and it has a very broad spectrum of colours as well. So there's a little bit of difference in that sense. I feel like there's a lot of imagery in these that you could try and decipher without the guidebook as well. If you wanted to learn more intuitive reading, I feel like you could probably come up with a story for each card that fits the situation that you're drawing on or asking about. But for me, I brought these cards so I could learn, and that's where the guidebook makes the most sense for me. But as I get to know what these things mean, I obviously hope that one day I don't need the guidebook, that one day I'll actually be able to know the meanings of the cards without looking them up. So as much as I could talk and look at these cards all day, I'm going to pull out all three and put them side by side so we can have a closer look and compare them all, and then we will actually put them to use. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did enjoy it, please leave a like below. It really does help, and consider subscribing if you haven't already. Make sure you ring the bell so that you're notified when I post a new video. It would mean the absolute world to me. Take care, everybody. I hope you're having a lovely day wherever you are in the world, and I'll see you again soon. Bye. Oh no, I forgot about my tea.